Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. Today we are talking about Reddit drama stories that revolve around books. So, you may or may not know that I'm a huge reader. I love reading. I also am a writer. I'm working on my debut fantasy novel, and in my corporate girly job, I'm surrounded by books. That's like all I do. So, books are pretty important to me, especially in this phase of my life. And I wanted to kind of mix it. I saw some fun Reddit stories that I thought you guys would also enjoy too. So here we are doing that. Before I jump in, of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you like Reddit stories, you want to hear all the tea, but you don't really want to be directly involved in drama, this is the best place to be. We grab our popcorn, we chit chat, we share our opinions, our unsolicited advice, and we don't have to be involved in the drama at all. So if you're that type of person, you love to hear it, then welcome. Happy to have you. You've found your pupil. If you are on YouTube, if you could hit that hype button, it's new to me. I just got it. It means the whole world. It helps my video find other people just like you who may enjoy it. And, if you want to like while you're there, comment, subscribe, be my guest. I won't stop you. Now that all that's all the way, let's go ahead and jump on into these crazy book, Reddit, am I the a-hole type stories. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. So before I jump into these stories, all of them are from Best Redditor updates because I want to know how everything ends. I cannot sleep at night if I don't, so you don't have to worry about conclusions or anything like that. They all have at least an update, but in case you still want to know what's going on, I will have them all linked down below. You can check the comments. Maybe there's an update that they didn't originally expect to happen and it did anyway. But that said, this first one is a really exciting one. I can't wait. My 25 female recent boyfriend, 37 male, gave me a book to read. It's really, really bad. First thing that jumps out at me is that age gap. It's a 12-year age difference, so I feel like that might be part of it, Also, the books I find really, really good, my boyfriend would say are really, really bad just because they're not his taste. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I met my boyfriend in our master's program. We became friends over this past year and started dating and became serious shortly before I left the state for a summer internship. He gifted me a book to read, saying it was one he liked. It's A Spell for Chameleon by Piers Anthony, a fantasy novel written several decades ago. I knew nothing about it prior and began laughing at it 2 pages in because of how ridiculous the writing was, especially about women. We Skyped after I got through the first chapter and I tried respectfully explaining my doubts about the book. He made a deal with me. Knowing I'm a big Harry Potter fan, he promised to give the HB series a chance, starting with Philosopher's Stone, if I gave his book a chance and kept reading. This rocked my world, and I had a sudden burst of motivation. I'm on chapter 3, and I cannot stand this book. It is one of the most sexist and misogynistic texts I have ever had to read, and it honestly makes me feel like crap. Not to mention, it's just poorly written all around. Painfully spoon-feeding obvious symbolism and excessively throwing in fantasy creatures, concepts that do nothing for the plot. The protagonist is a complete dill hole, that's a new one, that I could not care less about, and as a reader, I don't want to follow him or anything in the fantasy world of Xanth. I have not heard of this book, but I did recently have to DNF a book that is actually crazy popular. Guys, this book went crazy on Book Talk a year and a half ago, and I just got around to reading it. I literally could not make it. I'm halfway through, and I think that I'm just gonna have to give up because it's so poorly written. I'm not gonna say the name of it because I don't want to offend anybody, but everyone told me it was so good, and I was almost offended that so many people told me it was good because of how bad the writing is. But I talked to one of my friends who's a writer, and she was the first person I got to talk to about it, and she also said that it was so bad she had to DNF it because the writing is terrible. So I feel justified. I just had to share that. But yeah, haven't read something that's super sexist and misogynistic that's not in a learning environment, so can't relate to that. But I imagine that would be really tough, and that would make me question my boyfriend's morals if I was in that situation. But let's finish this and see what happens. But of course, flat out telling my boyfriend those thoughts about a book he enjoys would be hurtful, and he has every right to have different preferences. I'm shocked that he would recommend such a book to me, though. He is a respectful and educated man, treating me very well and identifying as a proud feminist. This recommendation was out of left field. Does he not remember how hurtful the author's writing on women is? Did he read it at a young age and has since grown? I can't expect him to hold his end of the bargain and read Harry Potter, which is fine, especially if it means not having to put myself through Piers Anthony's excuse for writing ever again. I like my boyfriend a lot. How do I respectfully tell him why I cannot invest in this book anymore? It's important to me that he realizes the negative messages being suggested, but I want to do this without insulting his taste or making him feel at fault. So I'll read a couple relevant comments and then I'll kind of get into my thoughts before we get to the update. OP goes in to explain why the book is horrible. Example 1. I like beautiful girls, he said, and I like smart girls, but I don't trust the combination. I'd settle for an ordinary girl, except she'd get dull after a while. Sometimes I want to talk with someone intelligent, and sometimes I want to... He broke off. Her mind was like that of a child. It wasn't really right to impose such concepts on her. Oh, yeah, I can see... Yeah. So another example is all women are the same inside. They differ only in appearance and talent. They all use men. Oh, okay. Okay. And then someone responded and said, oh, good Lord, I looked up the book and thought, this couldn't be that bad, could it? I guess it is that bad. Top comment is the first thing to ask is when he last read this book. If, like you said, he hasn't read it since adolescence, he may not remember how truly awful it is. If he's read it recently and still recommended it, well, I'd be totally honest about how I felt about it, but that's just me. You can certainly tell him you just gave it a fair shake, but it wasn't your cup of tea. I think if I were in this situation, it sounds like the boyfriend is really into like discussing this type of stuff, because there are guys out there who like give recommendations or, you know, say you would like this, but then when you like try and give them your opinion, they don't really care. They're just like, I just wanted to recommend it. Like, okay. But I feel like he would hear you out and you could have a healthy discussion about this without it blowing up. I would first ask when's the last time you read it, but I wouldn't necessarily mention the poor writing because that may be insulting to like him as someone who enjoyed it. You can just say the writing wasn't your cup of tea, like they said. Like, I didn't like how it was written. It just wasn't my type of book, you know, in terms of the writing. But I would bring up the big issues, like how women are treated in the book and the messages, because I think that that could be a really eye-opening conversation. I know a lot of time, at least between me and my boyfriend, I'll bring up certain situations and like, or he would be like, can you go do XYZ? Not even really thinking about it. And I'd be like, well, no, because then I would have to park in a parking garage and it's like getting late. So I don't want to do that at night. And da 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 da. And he's like, why? Like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, yeah, because you've never had to do it. And that's a very, very like obvious example. There's more like vague examples where it's kind of like he really wouldn't have thought of that. Like, obviously, he's not going to send me into a parking garage at night. He's not just like, go do something unsafe. But like, there are situations where he doesn't even have to think about like the safety issue, whereas I do. And so when I bring it up and say, oh, I can never do that, like, it just isn't safe, it's very eye-opening for him. Like, he just didn't even think about it. So it might be that where he just went over his head. He didn't even think about it, especially if he was younger. I would hate for it to be like that because it's like right in front of his face. But I do know people who are like that. And if he's receptive to what you have to say about it, you can't fault him for exactly not picking up on it, no matter how obvious it is. You can just fault him if he knows and is aware of like that message and still chooses to look past it and be like, well, you know, yeah, but that was just like one part of the book, you know? I figured you'd like the rest of it. If he's making excuses for that type of behavior, that's one thing. But if he genuinely didn't catch it, that's another. So I would have that conversation and have like an open debate where you explain to him why this is hurtful, even though you shouldn't have to, you know? Here's an update from 3 days later. The post was locked shortly after I put it up, so I wasn't able to comment back to most of you. I went through every comment, though, and took them all into consideration. Thank you for all of your thoughts. We Skyped the other night, and the topic came up. I started by saying I liked him a lot and really do appreciate how much he's willing to share with me. He caught on to where I was going with this and started laughing. Then I started laughing, and realized how silly small of a thing this all was. I guess I didn't want to risk hurting his feelings. When the reason why I didn't like the book came up, I explained, and he totally understood. It's been at least a decade since he's read the book, and he can see where I would feel uncomfortable. He will still consider reading the first HP book since I gave his book a chance, and being a single dad, his kids also like the series, so it would be a chance for him to connect more with them. I ended by saying that I hope this doesn't discourage him from sharing more things he likes. If anything, it encourages me to find more that you'll appreciate. And that made my heart flutter. So there is one more update. I do want to say I'm glad that went well. I did not read that ahead of time because I suggested something that's pretty much that. So I'm glad that went as well as it could have. There is this new update that is actually 8 years later. Hi, I would reply to this under the same username, but it got locked a little over a year ago because Reddit banned me for sharing the mayor's office contact information, lol, and I created this one shortly after. It's hilarious this post is being shared because it's from such a different time in my life. Your instincts are right. This relationship only lasted a monthish after this post. I took an opportunity to live and study abroad for a few months, and it was clear that he didn't want anything that deep. Dodged any conversation that required vulnerability, didn't like that I wasn't always 100% perky, etc. I also had a rough breakup before this and wasn't making the best judgment calls when it came to dating. I could have caught a few more things about him that gave similar concerns now as this book recommendation then, so I called it off. OMG, then he suddenly wanted to make it work and kept it up for over a year after the breakup. We weren't even together that long. He would text me as if we never ended, and I would shut it down. He eventually stopped, but I still got occasional notifications on LinkedIn that he viewed my profile. Isn't it crazy that I feel like always the most random people stalk my LinkedIn? It's always the most bizarre people that I'm like, you don't stalk my TikTok, but you're on my LinkedIn. This is so okay. I don't know. I don't know what it is about LinkedIn, but it's weird. It's weird. I'm now happily married to someone my age, not knocking appropriate relationships with age gap. I'm good friends with a couple who are 12 years apart, but I dodged a bullet, folks. Thanks for giving me a good laugh with this flashback. Well, I'm glad that ended well. I think that it is a red flag. Looking back, it is a red flag that there's such a big age difference. And I always am very wary of age differences where the guy is way older because more often than not every time, but more often than not, guys date younger women. And I'm talking early 20s. She's 25, so it's right up to that age. She was right at the part where it's the cutoff. They date younger because they put up with more and they're more naive and they can get away with more and they can kind of mold them to be the women they want versus women who have been through it and are a little bit more serious and won't put up with as much. So that compared with the book he suggested is probably a red flag. I think that the reason that I was oh, let's work it out is because she said that he was respectful and so nice and didn't have any of these values. If that would have been any different, I would have been cut it. But I'm glad that she's doing well. We moved on, dodged that bullet, and everybody's good. If you're watching, yes, my dog just likes to stare into the corner. Apparently he wants attention, so that's why he just turned around. But he will literally just turn around and stare at the corner. Don't worry about it. He's just weird. Top comment. This is classic Piers Anthony. I grew up reading his books, not thinking twice, was shocked when I reread them as an adult. I really want to see the inside of his mind. Check out the reviews of his book, Firefly. We should really be checking that guy's basement. I've heard a lot about Firefly, but I haven't read it. And now I'm kind of concerned. That makes me not want to read it. But I have thought about rereading old books in general, like The Hunger Games and Divergent and books that I was in love with when I was younger, just to see what type of ideology was being pushed and how good was the writing and things like that. Because when you're younger, I feel like you don't have as much of an eye for that. And I was in a completely different environment, so I didn't pick up on things that I would be more keen on being in a different environment. I don't know. I would be interested in doing that just in general. Has anybody done that? If you have, let me know. Also, I want to know your thoughts because I'm sharing my opinions, so it's only fair that you do too. We're all in this together. This is a community. I want to chat. Is that a crime? Can we not yap? So if you're on a platform where you can comment, Spotify, YouTube, I'm looking at you. Go ahead and let me know what you think of these. My husband is spoiling the spicy scenes in my romance books by acting them out before I get to them. Oh, this is going to be good. I'm really excited about this one. And this was originally posted on Two Hot Takes. Love them. Love you, Morgan. It moved over to Best of Reddit. I try to stay out of like any sort of subreddit that is for other creators because that's like their stories and they're going to tell them and it's meant for them. But since this one is Best of Redditor, I didn't quite catch it. But if you guys don't know what Two Hot Takes is, I feel like everybody does who enjoys Reddit stories. Morgan's the best. Definitely check them out. But let's go ahead and jump in with the original post, which is from March 28th, 2026. I, 32 female, read a lot of romance novels, like 4 to 5 a month. Wow, you're quick with it. Not the super smutty stuff, more the Emily Henry type books with the illustrated cartoon covers, enemies to lovers tropes, that kind of thing. About 2 months ago, my husband of 11 years, 38 male, started acting a little different in the bedroom. Not bad different, just occasionally there's this vibe like he has something planned. We'll have what I can only describe as a themed night, and I'll think, okay, that was fun and a little random, and move on. Then a few days later, I'll be reading my book, hit a spicy scene, and actually have to put my Kindle down because it's the same scene. Like, the same vibe, the same moves, occasionally almost the same setup. It's already happened 4 times now. 4! I finally said something to my sister and she immediately started crying laughing, which was not helpful. She thinks he's reading ahead of my books and essentially performing the scenes on or with me before I get there as some kind of prank. But here's what I can't figure out. I read on my Kindle. He'd have to get into my account, figure out where I am in each book, read ahead, and then coordinate. He's a big tech and numbers guy, so he's doing this. I guarantee there's a spreadsheet involved somewhere. I'm honestly not even mad. Genuinely, if this is what's happening, it might be the most unhinged romantic gesture anyone has ever done for me. But he is technically spoiling the books? How do I tell him to stop spoiling the plot without accidentally telling him to stop being the most high-effort partner I've ever had? This is so good. This is great. I don't know. Is he spoiling the plot? Because it's kind of like, how on point is he? Because this just kind of sounds a little like fun. A little fun and fresh. Maybe suggest he finds scenes from different books? Books you haven't read in a while? That could spice it up. Relevant comments. LOL, that's so sweet. That's like living the dream. For him to be involved in your hobbies and what books you read, maybe let him know gently, but he's a good egg in this current age. OOP responded and said, he really is, 11 years and he's still out here finding new ways to be surprising. I genuinely don't deserve him. And also, he's ruining my books. Another comment says, your husband is living in 3023 while the rest of us are still figuring out how to remember anniversaries. The spreadsheet thing has me absolutely dead. This man is out here project managing your romance novels like it's a quarterly business review. Maybe just ask him to mix in some original content between the book recreations so you get some surprises. OP said, the quarterly business review part got me. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a tab for Q1, KPIs, and I'm a line item. 3023 is right, though. Meanwhile, I'm just out here trying to read my books. So the next update is from 2 days later. I want to start by saying thank you for all the comments. I read them all and want to clarify that I absolutely love my husband and am floored by his efforts on this. With that being said, I decided not to talk to him about it yet and to mess with him back instead. Ooh, I like this. What I did instead was rush to my current book faster than usual, left my Kindle open to an earlier chapter I'd already read in case he went to check where I was up to, and then made the spicy scene from that book happen in real life last night. Initiated it and went all in. Oscar-worthy performance, honestly. If there's a spreadsheet tracking all of this, and I def believe there is, it's about to get a very confusing entry. We'll update when one of us cracks. Oh, this is so good. I love, like, no notes. No notes. This is like everybody's like sitting here thinking about, wow, okay, goals. Final update, 3 days later. If you read my original post or my last update, you'll know that my husband has been acting out the spicy scenes with me from whatever romance novel I was reading before I even read them. A few days ago, I set a trap for him. I read ahead and initiated a specific spicy scene with him from my current read before he could get to it. Nothing happened the next day, which I thought was weird, so I decided to escalate. This time, the bait was that I started to read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. If you've read it, you might understand why I chose that book. While we're adventurous, there are certain things we don't usually do. I just want to know, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, because the only books that I read that are like contemporary romance are Hannah Grace, which is like Icebreaker, Wildfire, and Allie Hazelwood. I love Allie Hazelwood. I will like read or listen and re-listen to her books a lot. So I don't know like much about Tessa Bailey or how spicy this is, but I can add it to my TBR. A couple of days ago, we were eating lunch. We were both working from home, and he said, fully serious, if you really want to, you can. When I asked him what the hell he was talking about, he finally broke. Turns out y'all were right. He had access to my shared Kindle library and got this idea for a prank, but once he did it a few times, he really got invested. He's going to stop spoiling my books, but we did come up with another arrangement. Also, thanks to the comments here. I'm going to give him a list of pre-approved spicy scenes, and he'll choose, in no specific order, which he wants to surprise me with. Yes, there was a spreadsheet. Chili pepper emojis for spice levels. Oh, he's been on Book Talk. A column for notes. Needs wine, links to Spotify playlists, etc. Color coding. Multiple tabs. More organization than even I was expecting. Oh my god. It will be ongoing and is now shared so I can drop in my own chili peppers and notes. This is incredible. After all of this, I showed him my original post in the update. We listened to 2 hot takes together every week so he knew exactly what he was looking at. By the end of reading the comments, we were both crying laughing. He doesn't have a Reddit account, but he's offered to answer any questions or DM your man with tips on how to be this level of iconic. We'll respond to as many comments as we can. 11 years. I really should have seen this coming. As someone who works in spreadsheets every single like work day, this is incredible. Final comments. Sounds like he's a freak in the spreadsheets and in the bed sheets. And OOP said, I showed him this and he said he feels seen. This is so good. This is so good. So good. I don't even have anything to say. Like, if men would just get on board, life would be like, guys spend so much time hating on women for reading books that contain 1 or 2 spicy scenes. There are books that contain more, but on average, most books that just have it in there to further the plot, it's like 2, maybe 3 scenes. Why are you hating on women for reading books that have that in there? Because it would be weird if it wasn't, right? Like, that's a normal human interaction. And if you're reading a book about like a romance, if they didn't have any sort of like sexual tension, that would be so weird, right? Am I wrong? So, like, instead of hating on women for doing that, why not get on board? I'm just saying, do with that with what you will. All right, moving right along. OOP accidentally submits Martha Stewart cookbook PDF instead of college essay to Indiana University. I was just minding my own business at my house when I got an email from my counselor saying she submitted my transcripts and stuff and I was all set to go. I went to check Common App just to make sure everything was done and was like rereading my essays because I was bored and everything. For Indiana, we had to submit a PDF for the supplementary essay instead of just typing it down in a text box like most of the Common App schools. So I downloaded it and clicked on the PDF and it's an effing Martha Stewart cookbook PDF. I don't know how the F I messed up this bad, but I can't go back and change it. IU was essay optional anyway, so hopefully they don't hold it against me, but it would suck getting rejected from one of my safety schools because I submitted a cookbook instead of my supplemental essay. Oh no, you live and you learn. This is one of those like today I effed up. Edit. So quick update, I'm going to contact my AO, but there's one little issue. I can't find the actual essay I wrote. Oopsies. Turns out naming everything Untitled Document X isn't the best way to stay organized, so for now, Martha Stewart cookbook it is. Okay. Better to learn this now than when you're in college, though. Like, better to learn this versus during your freshman year and to not be able to find anything because having very specific names is the only way to survive in a digital world. Here's the update. IU sent me an acceptance letter last night, thought I should give an update. I didn't end up emailing the AOs my actual supplement essay because A, I couldn't find it, and B, I was too lazy to write a new one. Oh, well, that's really encouraging for someone who's applying for college. That's not like a big decision we shouldn't be too lazy to do. Okay, sorry, I'm judging. For anyone wondering, the cookbook was called the Martha Stewart Cookbook, Collected Recipes for Every Day. And honestly, some of the recipes in it slap. I mean, I guess that you could say that Martha Stewart got you into college and you wouldn't be wrong. That would be a good, like, 2 truths and 1 lie. Like, Martha Stewart got me into Indiana University. That would be so, yeah, okay. That was just a quick little palate cleanser, even though everything I feel like has been pretty lighthearted. This next one is titled, Am I the A-hole for not taking down an X-rated book when my ex's girlfriend asked me to? Last year, I, 24 female, wrote an erotic novel to make some money on the side and ended up picking up traction and makes a fair amount of sales every month. I'm not living off the income, but it does help pay some bills every month while I'm getting my master's. I love that for you. A lot of the book was inspired by my boyfriend at the time. He knew I was writing it, and it was often a joke between us that he had to give me more to write about. He read the book before I self-published it and gave it his seal of approval. I wouldn't have published it if he'd been uncomfortable. The character doesn't resemble him in personality or appearance, and there are no hints that would give away who my inspiration was. I wrote under a fake name too, so it's unlikely to be traced back to him at all. We broke up 6 months ago, but we keep in touch. We've been friends for a while, and the split was mutual, so there are no hard feelings. I knew that he had started seeing someone over the summer, and I guess he told her about the book because she approached me at the library yesterday and asked me to take the book down. She said it makes her uncomfortable knowing that people can read details about our sexy tango life. I asked her if my ex was uncomfortable with it, and she said he was. I told her I would take it down. That night, I texted my ex and told him I was sorry the book made him uncomfortable and that I would take it down as soon as I could. He had no idea what I was talking about. He said it didn't make him uncomfortable and that I didn't need to take it down. He cracked some jokes about how he was glad I was still profiting from his hard work. When I told him his new girlfriend had approached me, he said that she did think it was weird, but it wasn't her call. Today I was eating lunch and the girl came up to me again. She started saying that I was disrespectful for going behind her back to talk to her boyfriend. Side note, I talk to my ex semi-frequently anyways, and that I was disgusting for ever publishing the book. She also said that it was gross. I was involving other people in my exhibitionist, rhymes with sink, unwillingly. I let her talk for a bit and then told her she was overreacting. I said it did make money, not because I derived pleasure from it, and that the book's publication is between me and my ex. It doesn't involve her. She called me a B word and stormed off. I know it's kind of weird to have a book out there with details about me and my ex's sexy tango life, but I don't really want to take it down because it's a good source of income. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not. If anything, I think that the ex-girlfriend or the new girlfriend should be like excited that it was so good that you wrote a book about it. Like that is such a good like joke. I get the feeling threatened or feeling jealous. Like, I can see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, it's a source of income for you. She does have absolutely nothing to do with it. You have every right. And if I were the boyfriend, I don't even know why he told her. Like, he probably said it, like, jokingly. Like, he phrased it like, yeah, I'm so good. Like, I have a book written about me. And then she took it too far. But the fact, I'm so glad that he, like, sided with you. I was like, dude, don't take it down. Because that's so... Like, love that. Green flag. Verdict from Reddit was not the a-hole on the original post. Top comments are, not the a-hole. Her insecurities are not your issue. Bunch of people are saying, like, if she's so insecure, why is she reading the book? And, like, she's the one going around her boyfriend's back. So, not sure why, like, she's saying that you're the one who's doing things that are kind of crazy. There is an edit. It says, hey guys, it's been a doozy of a day. First, thank you everyone for the replies. I made the post when I was questioning my sanity over the situation, and your comments brought me back down to earth. Some answers to questions. I don't know why he told her about that book. Since the post, I've told him it's something I would like to keep between the two of us. I feel like if anyone in my master's program finds out, I'll be taken much less seriously. That is true. If you're interested in self-publishing, try Amazon and do some reading about keywords. There are tons of blogs on it. I won't be giving out the name of the book as it gets very, very slinky, and this post has gotten a lot of views. I fear someone finding the story on other websites on the off chance I made it, hi TikTok, and making the connection, especially considering I don't know who else my ex has told. I have no idea how this girl keeps finding me. I'm on campus every time, so I assume it's just by chance as she's in a master's program as well. So here is the final update from 3 days later. Shortly after I made the post, I got an Amazon to look at my book and noticed I'd gotten an influx of bad reviews. I checked the reviews and found some buzzwords that my ex's girlfriend had used. Thankfully, I'm fairly certain I can get these removed. I'm also concerned because Amazon takes a few days to process reviews, so I don't know how many more of these will be coming. Ugh, that's so immature. Like, you're just trying to get through your master's program, and as someone who has, like, student loans and went through a master's program and it's just like writing and like any like we're all struggling right now, so I know any source of income helps. It's just like, dude, really, all because you're insecure. I decided to call my ex and let him know what was happening. I told him about his girlfriend confronting me, calling me a B word, how she initially lied to me about his feelings, and now the bad reviews. He was floored. I don't think he had seen that side of her personality. My ex is an all-around great guy, and he was very apologetic. He said he would like to talk to her about it. He said he didn't tell her the name of the book, but he did have it on his Kindle, so she must have snooped and found it. This morning, I was getting a coffee in the student center, and the girl walked up to me and started screaming at me. Apparently, she and my ex broke up, and she blamed it on me. Girl, the only person you can blame it on is yourself for being absolutely unhinged. You're literally being insane. Like, talk about blowing it out of proportion. I didn't know what to do, so I just took off walking to my car. She started calling me a sloot and a surfer and a subvert. Nothing in the book is that bad, especially if you like erotica already. She followed me out of the building, but thankfully stopped chasing me once I hit the parking lot. I was shaking, and I called my ex again. He ended up coming to sit in my car with me until I calmed down. We considered calling the campus police, but I didn't want to explain it to them, so he walked me back inside. She was there, but when she saw my ex with me, she didn't yell. She burst into tears and said she knew he was cheating. He told her to leave me alone. He hadn't cheated, which is factual, and that he broke up with her because she was too jealous and immature. She seemed flummoxed, that's a good word, and left. X bought me a coffee and we discussed filing a police report if she approaches me again. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I hope. Definitely feels like sequel material, although I'm a bit lacking in the physical inspiration part these days. I'm so sorry. I know that is harassment. I know that you're in a professional setting. You kind of like want to put that, um, you know, mindset on. Like, I go by my last name in professional settings, and then I go by Grace Torrey everywhere else. So I can imagine how weird it is. Like, I've gotten approached about like my podcast or something before, and it's like, oh, you know about that? Because like it is jarring when you're in a professional setting and you have this very polished like look and you're trying so hard to be taken seriously, because as a woman, you're already not, and as a young person, you're already struggling. And so to have that and to have someone screaming at you and to kind of just drawing attention to this part of you that is like nobody's business and something that you're not comfortable sharing professionally is just so upsetting. And I'm so sorry. I would go for a restraining order. Because that's insane. So top comment is a reply to the sentence she started saying that I was disrespectful for going behind her back to talk to her boyfriend. And it says, not nearly as disrespectful as lying about what your boyfriend wants. So yeah, there's all the comments are just talking about how the girlfriend is a hypocrite, how the girlfriend is out of line, and all the tea. So you can read that if you want. It's just a whole lot of the same. Let's go ahead and read one more. I wrote a pseudonymous blog. There's some big words today. Someone poses me and got a book deal. I've been ordered to hand over my website. Ooh. For the last 3 years, I've written a parenting blog under a pseudonym. It started out small, but over time, I've developed a decent-sized audience. It's not huge, but it's respectable. I write entirely about my family and my life. A completely surreal thing happened this week, and it's escalated to the point that I know I need to contact an attorney. But it's a long weekend, and I can't seem to get in touch with anyone. I'm hoping to get some advice here in the interim. Earlier in the week, I started receiving a couple emails from readers congratulating me on my book deal. This came as news to me, because I've never tried to get a book deal. I asked the readers where they heard this, and they pointed me towards a couple news releases that ultimately led back to a small publishing outfit. According to the publisher, my pseudonym will be writing a book on parenting, life, and other topics. Also, according to the publisher, my blog will be moving to a new site to better integrate with the book. It reeked of rebranding. I immediately contacted the publisher and basically asked, WTF? Within a day, I received a cease and desist email from a law firm on behalf of the publisher. From the letter and a few follow-up emails, this is what I have pieced together. Some deranged person decided to claim that they were the one who wrote under my pseudonym. This person contacted the publisher and worked out a book deal. This person told the publisher that I was a paid ghostwriter who occasionally helped with posts and managed the website. This person warned the publisher that I had become disgruntled because I was supposedly informed that I would be let go in a few weeks once the book deal went through. The publisher was warned that I might try to retaliate. The publisher was told that when I learned the book deal was final, I locked the real author out of her own website and I was now holding it hostage. I was warned that I had to immediately turn access to the blog over to the publisher or risk further legal and civil penalties. I've been warned that any further posts made under the pseudonym will compound the damages because the pseudonym now belongs to the publisher and I was fired by the quote-unquote real author. This makes me sick to my stomach. I'm baffled and scared. What's uniquely worrisome is that the firm somehow knows my real name. The cease and desist is addressed to me. I have no idea how they obtained that information. Because of the threats, I've decided to go radio silent on my blog. I usually post once a day, but I haven't posted anything since Wednesday night. In the meantime, the new blog has posts. It's weird and creepy and just plain scary because there are posts where someone is pretending to be me. I've seen my traffic take a nosedive as it appears many of my readers have found the new blog over the last few days. I'm hoping to reach a lawyer on Tuesday, but in the meantime, what can I do? Beyond the bizarre happenings with the blog, I'm beginning to be nervous about my own safety. This is so scary. This was written in 2017 because my first thought was AI. Like, they're using AI and compiled all of your blogs into like AI and said, turn this into like a book. But it was in 2017 before, and I did recently learn, I was listening to Macmillan's CEO. They're a really big publisher. They're one of the big five. And he was talking about how, which I didn't realize, if any part of the book is AI, that part can't be like, I think it's copyrighted. So they don't have like any legal claim to it. So if your book is written in AI, you don't have the rights to your own book because basically, I'm not going to go too much into it, but if you self-publish and Amazon owns the ISBN that you use, because they will give you an ISBN for free, then they technically own the rights to your book. So if anything goes crazy, they could take your book. Not that they would, but they own the rights because they own the ISBN. If you own your ISBN, which I think they're like $150 per ISBN, then you own the rights to your book. However, if it's AI cannot be copyrighted because AI is not like a person. It's like a robot. So that was my first thought, but it's 2017, so I don't really know what's going on. Sorry for that little tangent. I just thought that was super interesting. Relevant comment, a poster asked, why not put up a blog post telling your readers what is going on so they stop switching over to the new site? An OOP responded and said, in my communications with the firm, I was warned that any post made on behalf of the pseudonym would only add to the damages I would be facing. They claim to own all rights to the blog. Rather than open myself up to further legal trouble, I've gone quiet until I talk with an attorney. But my reading is plummeting in the meantime. We're gonna sue for damages. Because honestly, I feel like, I'm not like a computer person, but I feel like you could prove your ownership. Because you could prove like who posted it, like in the IP address and stuff. If you went back, you could prove that you were the one posting it if you needed to. And then it's an open shut case. It's just having to go through all that is so annoying. But there is an update. Exciting. The update is from a week later. So hopefully they got some advice legally. Also, by the way, didn't even mention, this publisher is so incredibly unprofessional. This is a quick way to get a bad rep and to have no one want to publish through you. This was in 2017, so don't know. It sounds like it's a really small publisher, but quick way. Like, whoever signed this person, I would think that they were getting fired, and this would be such bad publicity for this publisher. So this is why we do our due diligence, because this is crazy. To threaten legal action against someone when you have no real way of knowing who's like the person behind it is crazy. Thank you for all the advice to my last post. I especially appreciate the supportive private messages I received from IT experts and fellow mommy bloggers. As for the update, unfortunately this problem has become too complicated for me to fight and I've chosen to walk away. No. I know this does not make much sense at first, but there are many personal considerations that have gone into my decision. In the comments to my last post, I alluded to being worried about the financial security of my family. What I did not mention is that much of this fear comes from the fact that my mother-in-law was recently diagnosed with a serious, though hopefully treatable, disease. My family and the families of my in-laws are hoping to treat her through this difficult period. But the difficulties are more than financial. This has been a very emotionally trying time for my husband and my children. Prior to this legal problem, my husband and I had discussions about me reducing my blogging or stepping back entirely for a stretch. The amount of time it took to write for my blog is honestly time that I need to put towards supporting my family right now. So one consideration in my decision to not pursue a legal fight was the money, and more importantly, the time it would take. Although my husband and I figured the money would work itself out, especially if our case was as strong as everyone here said it was. But the real reason I decided not to fight the publisher is this. I wrote things on my blog about my in-laws, including my mother-in-law, under the assumption that I was writing anonymously. I was never mean, but I did state some difficult truths about their behavior and unintentional emotional manipulation. We came to the conclusion that any effort to fight the publisher carried with it too great a risk that I would be outed publicly as the author of the blog. Given that emotions are running high right now, that we are all caring for my mother-in-law, it would be devastating if my in-laws became aware of my writing. This concern settled the issue for us. The publisher filed a DMCA complaint against my blog. Thanks to the advice of everyone here, I made a backup of all my writing for myself. Strangely enough, a very poorly formatted archive of old posts also appeared on the new blog, run by the imposter and the publisher. It looks like they just used copy and paste. I sent an email to the lawyers saying that while I was not conceding ownership of the blog or my posts, I would not be fighting them at this time. They want me to sign some papers, but I have told them that I will not do that. They seem to have backed off. Honestly, I'm heartbroken to lose my blog, but I would be more heartbroken if it became something that would create a rupture in my family as we try to support my mother-in-law. Thank you again to everyone. Hopefully somewhere down the road I can begin writing anew. Well, that's sad. I didn't know this was going to have such a sad ending. Like, I 100% support you and understand your reasons. It's just so sad that, like, the publisher and the imposter got away with it because, like, I would have loved to see some justice, but karma is real, and so I know that they'll get their justice in due time. Like, with you not writing anymore, obviously, they're not going to have the same voice, and try as they might, it's gonna go up in flames eventually. There's no way they're gonna be able to write an entire book unless they just copy and paste your blog, which is already written and people already have access to. Like, people are gonna want books that tell them something new and isn't just the same thing regurgitated. So sales are gonna plummet and they're not gonna do well. So it's kind of gonna fall on its own. But I'm so sorry. Like, that is such a hard situation, and this was written in 2017, but I hope that you are doing better. Mother-in-law recovered from the disease and everything is better. You guys, if you're ever in a situation similar to this, in the age of the internet, I feel like it's more common than ever. There is really good legal advice or advice in general if you're in this situation. Obviously, you should consult a lawyer, but it is good advice. So I'll read the top comment. As usual, a parade of ignorant, poorly thought out advice from the non-lawyers of r/legal advice. You know the hallmark of bad legal advice? Treating a cease and desist like this as anything other than the raving lunacy it is. There's nothing legal about a cease and desist. It does not carry any actual legal authority. Wait, is that true? Guys, I'm just reading this comment. I don't know how true that is. You can ignore them all day. It's down to the plaintiff to file an actual legal case in a court of competent authority. And if they were prepared to do that, they would be trying to intimidate you with cease and desist orders. Those are what lawyers use to try and intimidate people into not asserting their rights. A cease and desist does not issue from a court. It has zero legal authority. It is literally a meaningless document, a note that says, stop it or I'm going to tell mom. I mean, I guess that is true. Like, anytime I've sent a cease and desist, I don't think I've ever received one, but I have sent a couple. They've always said, like, a list of, like, hey, you need to do this or we will get legal involved. So from my limited experience, like, yeah. The very first piece of advice should have been to call whatever bottom tier law school graduate put his name on the C&D and say, hey, I'm going to be asking for a dismissal for failure to state cause for relief unless your client is prepared to spend the next 12 months responding to discovery motions. Also, you and I have a date with the Bar Association because you clearly acting complicitly with an attempt to engage in intellectual property theft. Your client has already engaged in torturous interference in a contract. You want to pull the trigger and take this in front of a judge? I'll not only win the case, but I'll make it my personal goal to see you disbarred. How would you feel if I have my office send your client a letter in legalese saying that we're suing for torturous interference unless he withdraws the suit? Unethical? You didn't care about that when you took the case. Bad effing advice from the worst advice subreddit has on the site. I wouldn't let those guys write me an effing lease. Really? I'm gonna Google this because now I'm like, really? Like, obviously, I would still take a cease and desist as a strong warning. Are cease and desist letters legally binding? No, cease and desist letters are not legally binding or enforceable, and you are not legally obligated to comply with their demands. They're formal warnings, often sent by attorneys, indicating that the sender believes their rights are being violated and may sue. I guess that's true. Like, when you really think about it, that does make sense. And I kind of feel dumb. I feel like anytime you mention the law, people get stressed or, like, intimidated, so that would be why. But apparently r/legal advice is not a great sub to look for legal advice. Who knew? That is pretty much it, though. I hope that you guys enjoyed. This has been a great episode. I just like this is one of my little interests is like anything book related, publishing related. Obviously, because it's a big part of my life, whether like professional or chill. Like I literally spend all my free time that I'm not working or on the podcast writing or reading. So if you guys are also writers or readers, let me know down below, what book are you reading right now? I just DNF'd that one book I told you guys about. So I'm actually starting Starside by Alex Astor. I'm really excited about it because I liked the beginning of the Light Lark series by Alex Astor, but I feel like it's kind of gone downhill just because of the pressure to like release books. I feel like it's not great, but I've heard good things about Starside, so I'm really excited about it. Yeah, if you want to keep up with like my book and stuff, I do have a TikTok and an Instagram just for writing updates as well as what I'm reading and stuff like that. So that is a Library of Grace Tori on TikTok and Instagram. So I'm just gonna put it out there. No pressure. Just if you're interested in keeping up with what I'm doing, how much I'm writing, where I'm at. I just finished Act 1, Draft 1, so I still got a while to go. I did do a draft 0, so it's not like I am on my first draft, but I feel like I'm rambling. I don't know. We can chat about it if it's something you're interested in. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I'm gonna go. I love you guys so, so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will catch you on Wednesday with a whole new podcast episode. Maybe though, because my birthday's on Tuesday, so I'm going to try and get everything edited before Tuesday and ready to go. But we'll see if that actually happens. So yeah, I love you guys so much. You mean the world to me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you who have joined the community. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got. So I'll get you guys later. Bye. Love you.